You didn't land here by accident. Let that sink in for a second. Out of everything you could be doing right now, you're here, reading this, because something inside you refused to stay quiet. That pull you've been feeling, it's not random, it's not coincidence, it's not you overthinking, it's something deeper. And if you've ever felt like you're the only one carrying this, you're not. Before we go any further, I want you to do something simple but powerful. If any part of this already resonates with you, take a second right now and subscribe. You don't want to miss what's coming next. And I want you to drop a comment, just one word, I feel it, because that matters more than you think. Now listen closely. You've been searching, maybe not out loud, maybe not in a way anyone else could see, but internally, you've been looking towards something, towards someone, for answers, for clarity, for peace, for that moment where everything finally makes sense. Days have passed, weeks, maybe even months, and still, that feeling hasn't left you. You've carried it quietly. You didn't talk about it much because deep down, you knew most people wouldn't understand. They'd call it a fantasy. They'd say you're reading too much into things, that you're holding on to something that isn't real, so you stayed silent. But here's the truth. While the world stayed loud, that quiet voice inside you never stopped speaking. It was there early in the morning, when everything was still. It was there late at night, when your thoughts got louder than the noise around you. It whispered to you in moments when you tried to distract yourself, when you tried to move on, when you tried to convince yourself it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing, was it? You didn't create this. You didn't imagine it into existence. This is something that rose up from within you. Something real, something persistent, something that refuses to be ignored. And here's where it gets even more important. What if this feeling you've been trying to understand isn't a burden at all? What if it's actually a signal, not from your fears, not from your desires, but from your soul? Think about that. What if the reason it won't go away is because it's not coming from wishful thinking, but from a part of you that already knows the truth, a part of you that recognized something before your mind could catch up? Because your mind needs logic, proof, evidence. It questions everything, but your soul recognizes. And right now, something inside you is being asked to recognize something you've been afraid to fully accept. You've tried to tone it down. You've told yourself it's too much, too fast, too intense. You've questioned it. You've doubted it. You've tried to rationalize it away, and yet it keeps coming back. Why? Because truth doesn't disappear just because it's uncomfortable. There's a reason you needed to hear this right now. A reason you're still here, still reading, still feeling that pull in your chest as these words hit you. And if you're feeling that right now, don't ignore it. That's your confirmation. So again, if this is speaking directly to you, pause for a second. Hit subscribe. And in the comments, tell me, have you been feeling this too? Because what you're experiencing isn't confusion, it isn't delusion, and it definitely isn't you losing your mind. It's awareness, it's recognition, it's something deeper trying to surface. There's a reason your heart reacts before your thoughts can catch up. A reason why even silence between you and this person doesn't feel empty. It feels full, charged, meaningful, like something is still there, even when nothing is being said. That's not normal. That's not something you feel with just anyone. And you know that. You've met people before. You've had connections before. But this is different. This feels like it exists beyond distance, beyond time, beyond explanation. And no matter how much you try to step away from it, something pulls you right back, not in a chaotic, anxious way, but in a steady, undeniable way, like a quiet force saying, pay attention, this matters. This isn't just about attraction. This isn't just about wanting someone. This is recognition on a soul level, something in you remembers, without knowing how, without knowing why. You've tried to shut the door on it, distract yourself, replace it, ignore it, but every attempt only made it stronger. Because you can't silence something that comes from your core. You can only delay facing it. And here you are, finally facing it. So let's get real for a second. How do you know this is something real and not just longing? How do you know you're not just attached? Your mind asks this over and over again, right? Is this real, or am I just caught in something emotional? That question comes from fear, from past experiences, from wounds that taught you to protect yourself, and that's valid. But here's the difference. Real, deep connection, soul-level connection, leaves traces that can't be faked. The first one? Peace. Not obsession, not anxiety, not constant fear of losing them. Peace. Even when they're not around, even when there's distance, even when there's silence, there's a quiet knowing inside you, a stillness, like something in you is saying, this isn't going anywhere. And that's rare. So I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you felt that calm certainty even when nothing externally is giving you reassurance? If you have, I want you to comment peace right now, because that matters. The second sign, you're not the same person anymore. This connection changed you. It woke something up inside you. Parts of you that were dormant, hidden, waiting. Suddenly you're seeing yourself differently, thinking differently, growing in ways you didn't expect. And it's not because you're trying to impress them. It's because something about this connection is activating your potential. It's pushing you toward your real self. That's not coincidence. That's transformation. And the third sign, you can't shake it. No matter how logical you try to be, no matter how much you try to minimize it, it stays, it lingers, it grows, and that's where things start to get deeper than most people are ready to understand. It doesn't fade, does it? No matter how much you try to explain it away, no matter how busy you keep yourself, no matter how logical you try to be, this feeling stays. It doesn't weaken. It doesn't dissolve. It doesn't quietly disappear the way ordinary attachment does. Because ordinary attachment fades. Loneliness fades when someone new comes along. Emotional dependence softens with time, with distraction, with change. But this doesn't follow those rules. This stays, even when everything around you tells you it shouldn't. And that's exactly how you know this is something deeper. So before we go any further, if you're still here, if you're still feeling this as strongly as ever, take a moment right now, subscribe, because what you're about to understand next might completely change how you see everything. And in the comments, I want you to be real, type still here, because if you are, that means something. Now listen carefully. What you feel is not something you created. You didn't imagine it into existence. You didn't force it, chase it, or build it out of emptiness. This was allowed into your life. There are connections that come and go. People who pass through like chapters. But then there are connections that arrive with weight, with depth, with purpose, and those don't come to break you, they come to change you. So if this feels undeniable, if it feels like something bigger than you, then you need to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to transform within me? Because that's where the real shift begins. But I know what your mind keeps going back to. If this is real, and if this is meant, then why the distance? Why the silence? Why does something that felt so alive, so intense, now feel like it's paused or even pulled away? Those questions have been sitting heavy on your heart, haven't they? And here's the truth you've been struggling to accept. Just because something is meant doesn't mean it happens all at once. Destiny doesn't rush. What is planted deep within you cannot be erased. Not by time. Not by silence. Not by fear. Not by distance. If it's real, it remains. Even when it's quiet. Even when it's confusing. Even when it looks like it's gone, because some connections don't end, they pause. There are bonds the ego tries to force into closure, tries to label as over, so you can move on, feel safe, regain control. But the soul doesn't agree. The soul says, not yet. Because not everything that separates is meant to be lost. Some things separate so they can become what they were always meant to be. Let that land. This person holds a place in your story that goes beyond your desires, beyond your expectations, beyond your plans. This is something woven beneath the surface of your everyday life, something intentional, something guided. And even if your mind tries to convince you that it was just a phase, just a moment, just something that passed, your soul knows better. You feel it. You know you can't just close this chapter because it's not finished. This isn't an ending. This is a pause, a quiet phase, a hidden shift. A moment where everything looks still, but underneath, everything is being rearranged. And I need you to understand this clearly. The confusion you feel, the pain, the distance, none of that is proof that this is falling apart. It's proof that something is being built. Because two people can feel something real and still not be ready to hold it. And if something this deep had continued without growth, without healing, without awareness, it wouldn't have survived. It would have turned into chaos, into misunderstanding, into emotional weight neither of you could carry. So what does the universe do? It creates space, not to end the connection, but to protect it. to give both of you time to grow into the version of yourselves that can actually sustain what this connection is meant to become. And I want you to be honest with yourself again. Have you changed since this started? Have you grown, seen things differently, faced parts of yourself you never had before? If the answer is yes, then you're already in the process. And if you feel that, you comment growing, because you are. What feels like distance is actually alignment happening in slow motion. What feels like silence is actually preparation, because a higher awareness doesn't look at this the way your human mind does. It's not focused on this exact moment. It already sees the full path, the version of both of you that is clear, healed, ready, the moment where there is no fear, no confusion, no hesitation. You might not see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not real, and this message is here for one reason: to stop you from walking away from something real just because it doesn't look the way you expected right now, to stop you from confusing delay with denial, to remind you that real connections don't disappear, they evolve. This is not punishment, this is not illusion, and this is not here to break you. This is here to stretch you, to teach you, to refine you, to turn you into someone who can actually receive what you've been asking for. Because real love, it doesn't fade, it transforms. And confusion, that's not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's the moment your mind is catching up to what your soul already knows. It's the friction between fear and truth. So instead of running from it, you need to understand it, because this phase, the silence, the distance, the pullback, this isn't absence. This is alignment. This is everything being rearranged behind the scenes. Old wounds being healed, patterns being broken, versions of you being released, so that when this connection returns, it doesn't collapse under the weight of who you used to be. Imagine two people meeting before they're ready. The intensity, the emotions, the energy, it would feel powerful, but unstable. Beautiful, but overwhelming. Instead of healing each other, they would trigger each other. Instead of building something strong, they would break under pressure. And something this significant, it's not meant to break. So the pause exists, not as rejection, but as protection. Read that again. This pause is protection. A space where both of you step back, not to forget each other, but to become who you need to be. This is growth happening separately, so that one day it can exist together. And whether you realize it or not, this was always part of the agreement, not something your mind decided, but something your souls understood long before you met. A quiet promise. We will find each other, but only when we are ready to hold it. So this moment right now, it's not the end, it's preparation. And if you've made it this far still feeling it, still knowing deep down that this isn't over, then you already understand more than you think. So stay with this, stay open, and most importantly, don't walk away from something your soul hasn't released. Come from clarity, the kind of clarity that cannot be undone, the kind that doesn't disappear the next day, the kind that doesn't question itself every 5 minutes. It will come from a place inside them that has finally stopped running, and you need to understand how powerful that is, because when someone returns from confusion, they can leave again. When someone returns from loneliness, they can replace you. When someone returns from nostalgia, they can forget, but when someone returns from truth, they stay. So if you're still here, still following this, still feeling that deep pull in your chest, pause for a second, subscribe right now, because what you're hearing isn't random, and you don't want to miss what comes next. And I want you to comment one word: ready, because if you're still listening, you're getting closer than you think. Now listen carefully. Everything you've been going through, all the inner work, the confusion, the emotional waves, the moments of strength followed by moments of doubt, it's not just affecting you, it's shaping the entire connection. You're not waiting, you're becoming. And at the same time, even in silence, even in distance, even in what looks like nothing, they are being changed too. Not in the same way, not at the same pace, but at the same depth, because this isn't about timing. This is about alignment, and alignment doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until someone feels comfortable. It doesn't pause because someone is scared. It moves anyway. That's why, while you've been leaning into your growth, they've been resisting theirs. While you've been trying to understand, they've been trying to avoid. While you've been opening, they've been protecting. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Avoidance doesn't stop transformation. It only delays it. And delay always comes with pressure. That's why what looks like distance from them isn't peace. It's tension. What looks like they're fine without you isn't truth. It's a story they've been telling themselves to stay in control. It meant nothing. I'm over it. It was just timing. I don't feel the same anymore. Those aren't conclusions. Those are defenses, because the ego will always try to protect itself from what it cannot control. And this connection, it cannot be controlled. So the ego does what it always does. It builds walls. But here's where everything shifts. Destiny doesn't respect those walls. It tears them down, slowly, precisely, unavoidably. Every distraction they use to escape, it starts losing its effect. Every place they ran to for comfort, it starts feeling empty. Every time they try to ignore it, it comes back stronger. And suddenly, silence gets louder. Memories get sharper. And the truth they tried to avoid becomes impossible to escape. That's why their quiet isn't peace. It's pressure. It's the space where everything they've been avoiding finally catches up to them. And I want you to really take this in. They're not quiet because they forgot you. They're quiet because they remember too much. That hit you, didn't it? If it did, comment, they remember. Because this is where most people misunderstand everything and walk away too early. They see silence and assume absence. They see distance and assume disconnection. But what's actually happening? Transformation on both sides. You're doing it consciously. They're being pulled into it. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Because for them, this means facing things they've been avoiding for years. Old wounds, old fears, old patterns. The part of them that wants control is being challenged by something that asks for honesty. And honesty terrifies the ego because honesty means vulnerability. It means stepping into something you can't predict, can't manage, can't fully protect yourself from. And if they've been hurt before, if they've learned to guard themselves, of course they ran. But running doesn't erase what's real. It just creates a space where reality echoes louder. And that's exactly where they are now. Every distraction is turning into a mirror. Every quiet moment is turning into reflection. Every attempt to move on is being interrupted by something they can't explain. A thought, a memory, a sudden feeling, your name crossing their mind at the exact moment they didn't want it to. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's something deeper pulling them back to truth. Not as obsession. Not as fantasy, but as recognition. And the more they resist, the stronger it becomes. Because this isn't something surface level. This is rooted, deep, unavoidable. So what you're seeing as nothing happening is actually everything happening beneath the surface. This is their breaking point. Not in a destructive way, but in a revealing way. Because sometimes, something has to fall apart internally. So something real can finally stand. Their pride being challenged, their fear being exposed, their control slipping, and all of it is happening so that when they come back, they don't come back the same. Because if they came back the same, they'd lose you again. And this connection isn't meant to repeat cycles. It's meant to evolve beyond them. So no, this silence is not absence. It's preparation. It's them being reshaped in ways you can't see yet. Just like you've been. And both of you, whether you realize it or not, are standing at the edge of a turning point. A moment where resistance starts to weaken, where clarity starts to rise, where fear slowly loses its grip. And this moment, it's not measured by time. It's measured by readiness, by alignment, by the point where the pain of staying away becomes greater than the fear of coming back. And when that moment hits, everything changes because they won't move from confusion. They won't move from impulse. They won't move from loneliness. They will move from truth, and truth doesn't hesitate. So don't mistake the silence. Don't misread the distance, and don't walk away from something that is still in the process of becoming what it was always meant to be. Their return, the real gift, is who you've become in the process. Let that sit with you for a moment. Because if you've made it this far, if you followed every word, if something inside you is still resonating, then you already know this isn't just about them anymore. This is about you stepping into a version of yourself that no longer chases, no longer doubts, no longer abandons your own truth. So before we go any further, do this right now, subscribe, because what you're understanding here is rare, and you don't want to lose this kind of clarity. And in the comments, I want you to write, I choose me, because that's where everything changes. Now listen closely. When they come back, it won't be from confusion. It won't be from loneliness. It won't be from a moment of weakness. It will come from surrender. Not your surrender, theirs. The moment their ego finally steps aside and truth takes over. The moment they stop fighting what they feel. The moment they stop pretending it didn't matter. The moment they can no longer run from something that has followed them everywhere. That's when everything shifts. Because surrender is not defeat. It's alignment. It's the point where resistance breaks and clarity takes its place. And when they return from that space, it won't be half-hearted. It won't be uncertain. It won't be temporary. It will be real. You'll feel it in the way they speak, in the way they show up, in the way there's no more confusion, no more mixed signals, no more distance disguised as protection. It will carry honesty, humility, openness, the exact things they once struggled to give. Because they had to lose control to finally understand what mattered. But as this moment gets closer, the universe shifts its focus back to you. And this part is important. Pause for a second, take a breath, and ask yourself this honestly. What signs have you been seeing? Not once, not twice, but consistently. A dream that keeps repeating, a number that shows up everywhere, a song that plays at the exact moment you're thinking about them, a memory that hits you out of nowhere but feels too strong to ignore. Those are not coincidences. Those are signals. And if you've been noticing them, I want you to comment, I see the signs. Because awareness is everything. Signs that bring you peace, they come from alignment. Signs that trigger fear, they come from the ego. And deep down, you already know the difference. You are not imagining this. You are not holding on to something empty. You are not hoping for something that isn't there. What you feel is real, and what is real is moving on your side and on theirs. Things are shifting, feelings are rising, truth is coming to the surface, and all of it is leading to one moment, a turning point that cannot be mistaken. And here's what you need to understand about that moment. It won't be subtle. You won't have to question it. You won't have to analyze it. You won't be sitting there wondering, what does this mean? No, when it happens, you'll know. Because real alignment doesn't confuse you, it confirms you. The universe doesn't speak in riddles when it's time. It speaks clearly, directly, powerfully, and the action they take, it won't be random, it won't be convenient, it won't be shallow. It will come from someone who has reached their limit of running, someone who finally understands that walking away hurt more than facing the truth, someone who sees clearly now what they once tried to deny. And when that happens, you won't feel anxiety, you won't feel fear, you'll feel recognition, the same recognition you felt in the beginning, but this time without confusion, because now both of you will be ready. And that's the part most people miss. Timing isn't about when you want it, it's about when you can hold it, because the universe doesn't bring two broken people together to fix each other. It brings two whole people together to build something real. That's why the distance happened. That's why the silence existed. That's why you were pushed into yourself, not to lose them, but to find you. And now, as everything begins to move again, your role is not to wait. Your role is to be ready. And being ready, it's not about watching your phone. It's not about hoping every notification is them. It's not about sitting in anticipation. It's about alignment. It's about becoming the version of yourself that can receive what you once could only dream about. So here's what that looks like. First, let go of control. Stop trying to script how this will happen. Stop imagining the exact words, the exact moment, the exact scenario, because what is meant for you doesn't need to be forced into a plan. It arrives naturally, unexpectedly, perfectly. Control is fear trying to feel safe. Trust is power. Second, release the bitterness. Be honest. There were moments that hurt, moments that confused you, moments that made you question everything. And it's easy to hold on to that, to replay it, to let it harden you. But that blocks what's trying to come in. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about refusing to carry it forward. Because you don't need that weight anymore. Their silence shaped you. Their distance strengthened you. Everything you went through has built the version of you that exists right now, and that version is ready. Third, stay grounded, because as things begin to shift, you'll feel it. The energy will change, the signs will increase, your intuition will get louder, and excitement might rise. But don't lose your center, because the peace you've built, that's the foundation. Without it, things become unstable again. With it, everything becomes solid, unshakable, real. And this is what you need to understand above everything else. The universe isn't just preparing them to return, it's preparing you to receive, to actually hold what you once asked for. Because before, you felt it. Now, you can live it. Your growth wasn't extra, it was essential. It's what makes sure that when this connection comes back together, it doesn't fall apart again. And yes, you can feel it, can't you? That subtle shift, that quiet knowing, that sense that something is about to change. You're not imagining that either, but don't rush it, don't force it, don't question it, because what's coming isn't just about them walking back into your life. It's about both of you meeting again as the people you were always meant to become. Their return was never the point. The real gift is you, the version of you that exists now. The one who has grown, who has faced the silence, who has walked through confusion and didn't break, who has learned to stand without needing anyone to complete you. That is the transformation everything has been leading toward. So take a breath for a second, feel that. Because if you've come this far, you are not the same person anymore. And before we go deeper, do this right now. Subscribe. Because what you're understanding here is something most people never reach. And I want you to comment, I've changed. Because if you're still here, you have. Now listen carefully. You were never being punished. You were being elevated. Every moment of distance, every moment of questioning, every moment where you felt like you were losing control, it was shaping you into someone stronger, clearer, more grounded. Your maturity, your self-respect, your awareness, your ability to stand in your own energy without collapsing into fear. These are not side effects. These are the foundation. This is what the future connection will stand on. And now, everything is responding to that. Because your energy, it matters more than you realize. When you carry peace, you become magnetic. When you trust without desperation, you become aligned. When you release fear, you open the space where love can actually return. This is what the universe has been waiting for. Not time, growth. Because time alone doesn't change anything. But you did. And as you've been evolving, something else has been happening too, even if you couldn't see it. Even if you couldn't feel it. They've been changing on a level deeper than behavior, on a level deeper than words. Their fears being challenged. Their walls breaking down, their avoidance getting harder to maintain because the connection hasn't left them. It's become heavier, more present, more real, and every moment of clarity they experience pulls them closer, closer to surrender, closer to truth, closer to you. That's how this works. Not by forcing two people together, but by expanding both until they naturally align again. And now, that alignment is getting closer. The separation was never meant to end this. It was meant to refine it, to purify it, to lift it beyond everything that would have destroyed it before. So as this turning point approaches, there is only one thing being asked of you. Be ready, not by waiting, but by aligning. Prepare your inner world for what your soul has always known was coming. Because when it arrives, you won't question it. You won't doubt it. You won't second guess it. It will be clear, direct, unmistakable. This is the moment where everything shifts from inside to outside, where what you felt intuitively becomes real, where what once lived only in your heart steps into your life. And this is important. This is not coincidence. This is not imagination. This is the result of everything you've gone through, every sign you noticed, every dream that felt too real, every moment of peace that came out of nowhere, every time you felt pulled back to this connection. None of that was random. It was guidance. It was direction. It was your soul showing you the path, even when your mind didn't understand it. You were never chasing a fantasy. You were following something real, and they feel it too. Even if they haven't always had the words. Even if they tried to ignore it. Even if they spent months pushing it away. Because the universe doesn't allow real connections to stay buried. What is meant keeps calling. Again. And again. And again. Until it's answered. And now they're beginning to understand that what they felt wasn't something to fear, it was something to honor. They're realizing that their fear didn't mean something was wrong, it meant something was real. And that realization changes everything, because now they're not running from it, they're moving toward it. And as that happens, the path clears, the distance softens, the silence transforms. What once confused you now starts to make sense, because destiny has been working the entire time, quietly, clearly, precisely, without rushing, without failing. And here's the truth you need to hold on to now. The return is not the reward. The transformation is. Because what's coming is not two people trying to fix each other. It's two whole people choosing each other. Fully. Clearly, without fear. That's why you had to grow. That's why they had to change. Because this connection was never meant to exist in instability. It was meant to become something real, something grounded, something lasting. And that moment, it's closer than you think. There will be a point, unexpected, undeniable, where they step forward. Not from confusion, not from emotion, not from fear of losing you, but from certainty. The deepest certainty they've ever felt. And you'll recognize it instantly in their words, in their energy, in the way there is no hesitation anymore. No walls, no distance. Because they won't be coming back to who you were. They'll be coming back to who you've become. And this time, everything will be different, stronger, clearer, more stable, more real, built on understanding, built on growth, built on truth. And as this moment approaches, there is nothing left for you to chase, nothing left for you to force. Only one thing left to do. Trust. Breathe. Stay open, because you've done the work, you've faced what needed to be faced, you've become what you needed to become, and now you're ready. Your story isn't ending, it's unfolding, exactly as it was meant to, so find peace in that, feel grounded in that, know that you are supported, guided, and exactly where you need to be. This path, it's not a mistake. This connection, it's not temporary, and you were always meant for something deeper than you once believed. If this message reached you at the right moment, if it gave you clarity, if it made you feel seen, subscribe now. Share this with someone who needs it. And in the comments, tell me, what signs have you been seeing? Your journey matters, and you're not alone in it.